to be able to pull this off, regardless of how many polling stations there are. And like, how does the backing of a political party help or assist you in, in gaining these tractions in the 170 something thousand polling stations?
Okay, so support for a candidate doesn't necessarily mean that there is an existing structure to operate.
Okay.
I'd rather just go to my polling unit and vote for my candidate and hope for the best, and than to stand there and guard my vote. And this is because Nigerians aren't yet politically literate enough. So I'm not saying in other climes this is not good enough. It's good enough.
Yeah.
But even in America, Kanye West running as a political candidate with about over 5 million followers on his social media handles could not pull up 5 million votes. So candidacy in the US is not as easy as it is, and that's where people are even more politically literate. I don't see myself or you trying to argue with area boys trying to pull votes in a system. I could get stabbed in the eye or something, and we're not there yet. And so it's not that I do not wish Nigeria gets there. I do, but I'm actually discussing on what's available on ground presently and trying to build the system up.
Of course.
You know, the problem we have had in Nigeria is one of the problems we've had is even our major focus on the office of the president.
Yes.
Like I'll give an example, there is no local government that receives less than 130 million in FAC allocations from the federal government every month. Nobody has gone into the local government to say, okay, let's have a smart guy as local government chairman and build this up and go to the top. We've never tried to do that, and I feel if we open up independent candidacy, this will help this particular level of government.
True.
People can just say, you know what, I can raise this money and I can run this local government in a way that people will be so impressed they will hand over a state. You understand? And you start to build the track. So what happens is, when an independent candidate emerges at local government, you have quite a following. He does well, he'll be pushed up to the state. He does well at the state, he can now be pushed up to the federal. Democracy is a process. We're always concerned about the product and not the process, and that's the problem in Nigeria.
Do you also think like having independent candidates in like the local positions also maybe shaves off some power from the governor?
No, it wouldn't shave off power. The truth is everybody is sworn to the Constitution. So as long as you're duly elected, you must act within the Constitution of Nigeria. Let's be also thankful that Nigeria doesn't even follow ideologies of parties, because it's not that parties don't have ideology. That's a common hoax, which isn't true. They do, but when I put in my entire money and resources and the party was taken from me, you expect me to get into office and follow what the party wants? Come on, that's not going to happen. So till we have political parties that can actually
stick to ideologies,
have ideas, and then bring out their own candidates and support their candidates up, we won't see people following ideology. So everybody sworn to the Constitution. Back to the question you asked me. Sworn to the Constitution. So of course everybody would have to follow the parameter, whether independent candidates or not.
But realistically, I'm not trying to, push an agenda here or anything. But are you trying to say that local government elected officials are not in one way or the other maybe under the thumb or in works with governors of the state?
I must say something. Now, on paper, the local government is a separate tier of government.
Yes, it's supposed to be independent.
It is independent. It's not supposed to, according to the Constitution.
Okay.
Governors have kidnapped the local government. And
did you just use the word kidnapped?
Yes, I'm using the word kidnapped.
Okay.
Governors have kidnapped the local government, and I am using this from a point that when you look at it, that's why I also believe Nigeria is not fully ready for restructuring, because according to the Constitution, powers have been given to state electoral commissions to conduct local government elections. When last did you see somebody not from the incumbent party of power taking seats, majority of seats in a local government election? totally. And there was this sham that occurred in Osun State, which I think that held on 15th of October. And they only registered the incumbent party, and on the ballot was yes or no, which is a total insult to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and to democracy in general.
Certainly. Hello?
I'm here.
Yes. Okay. Certainly. You're right there about that. About that case. The independent candidacy bill hasn't yet been signed to law, but it successfully passed the National Assembly. The bill is in works for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to allow for independent candidacy to any elective office in Nigeria. And I think the victory of the bill was a landslide. According to results of the votes from both chambers, 89 senators voted in its favor and 5 voted against. 269 members voted in support of the bill and 28 voted against. What do you think is the driving force as to the high vote turnout in favor of independent candidacy in the National Assembly?
Well, members of National Assembly are quite clear that running an independent candidacy, like I said, at Senate or House of Rep level will not be easy. So the onus right now has been passed by by the National Assembly. The onus now is in the House of
State Houses,
House of Legislature. Who, of course, are more threatened by the bill. I expect there will be a total different response when it comes to them.
Oh, you do expect a totally different response when it comes to that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, because my next question was that are you optimistic that this is going to pass before the 2023 elections come?
I don't think this will pass before 2023, but I think eventually post-2023, CSOs and everybody in that sphere would be able to argue such topics and face such parameters. For now, I think it's a little shady, especially with elections going on.
All right, quite interesting terms that you have been using, on the show. I really appreciate it, and thank you for the insight. We'll just take a quick break, but we will be right back.
Thank you.
Citizen FM Abuja, now we be the voice of the people. Citizen FM Abuja, now we be the voice of the people. Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Make we join our hearts to build a nation of our dream. Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Your problem is my problem and my joy is your joy. Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Make we join our hearts to build a nation of our dream. Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Yeah. Your problem is my problem and my joy is your joy. Epa!
welcome back to the show Battle of Opinions, a show where we highlight conflicting views on topics affecting us as a people and collectively as a nation. I am your host, Mina. Today we are taking a look at whether an independent candidate can win an election in Nigeria. And this is in reference to a proposed constitutional amendment which seeks to allow for independent candidacy in our elections. And for some time now, a lot of Nigerians have been calling for independent candidacy to be allowed in our democratic process. And it's encouraging news to know that a bill is in the works for this to happen. In March this year, the National Assembly passed a bill which provides for independent candidacy. Okay, and this bill is a bill for an act to alter the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to allow for independent candidacy. And I have two guests with me on the show. Actually, my second guest is just coming on. Pius Damba Pius. He is a lawyer and an election strategist. Good morning, Pius.
Good morning.
Good morning, Pius. Pius, I'm fine, thank you. We are on with Kunle Lawal. Hello, Kunle, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Pius, you can hear me. Okay, Kunle, you're here. All right, you guys can just say hi to each other since Pius is just joining us. All right, Pius, the big question is that we are taking a look at today is whether an independent candidate can win an election in Nigeria. In reference to a proposed constitutional amendment which has successfully passed the National Assembly that seeks to allow for independent candidacy, which means aspirants contesting for political positions without belonging to any political party. Pius, you've heard what we have to say. What's your take? Can an independent candidate win an election in Nigeria?
Well, I feel for the development of our democracy and in preparation for a better governance, it's important to keep opening and expanding the ways of participating in politics so that we don't narrow the entry point to just political parties.
Yeah.
There are other nations, even in Africa here, like Kenya, where there is room for an independent candidate to run or stand election alone. And we have seen even in those jurisdictions where people have run as independent candidates and have even defeated candidates from ruling political parties. So that tells you that if we have such kind of an experience in Nigeria, it will create more room for better and much more credible person.
Hello? Hello? Oh.
Or the way some political parties have been run to have the chance of actually contesting in an election and testing their popularity. So I feel that going forward, it's important for Nigeria to key into the independent candidate idea and have it enshrined or established in our law so that it will give room for independent candidates to participate by running elections.
Okay. Kule, are you there? Hello, Kule.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Kule, I have a quick question for you. Some believe that allowing independent candidates to stand for elections will ensure popular choice by the people without the imposition of political parties. Yes. While some others doubt the nation's political system's capacity to accommodate everybody that wants to run for office, and also the litigation issues that may arise from it. What do you think about that? Do you think that we are not yet capable to accommodate such a system?
I think. Hello.
Yeah, sorry. This question is for Kunle.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Pius.
So in my perspective, the problem is not independent candidacy. The problem is our thought process or our level of political literacy.
Yes, I'm
That
saying.
has always been
Yeah,
That's
I'm
problem.
saying. Do you think that Nigeria doesn't have the capacity? Do you think like it would be too ambiguous for us to?
I got what you're saying.
Okay.
So if we don't understand, so you have the availability of 18 political parties.
Yes.
You can't say 18 of them not meet your parameters and decide to work with political parties.
Yeah.
It's not reason enough to say parties are the bad issue. The issue in Nigeria is when it's politically literate enough. So we will still bottleneck in the kind of people that will emerge from the process.
Yeah.
There's no change. Most people would rather do Dorime on the Friday than invest in council that it's going to be part of their governance. And therein lies the problem. So the problem is not necessarily, of course, Nigeria would attack something at that problem, but run away from the main problem, which is we not participate.
Yeah. But okay, for example, okay, go on, Pius.
Yes, I don't think I subscribe to that because if you look at way back in the history, we've had something similar to an independent candidacy in Nigeria. Because in the First Republic, it was possible there were some elections that were conducted on the basis of non-party. That was what they call it that time, non-party. So that means that someone can just run, not necessarily under the platform of a political party. And we had people going to the parliament at that time, on the basis of non-party. And so if we can do it in the 60s, I don't think that Nigeria have retrogressed so backward that we cannot replicate something similar in 2020. I'd like to come in here.
Mm-hmm.
Please, when we discuss, I always like to use data.
Yeah.
And going back into 1960, yes, it can sound. Let's remember Nigeria's population was less than 40 million. Democracy was something that was new to us at the time. We didn't have the political parties didn't have a reach, and we're trying to move into our own government after an independence. Nigeria's population right now stands at and expanding. There are 18 political parties which Nigerians can be part of. We have chosen not to be part of. I will give you raw data. In any I dare any political party show me a membership list that expired. No political party in Nigeria has 5. No political party has that in the party. What happens is, succeeding an election, Nigerians just declare and announce to run for with nothing being put forward. The whole problem is the process. We have been spending so much time discussing the product.
Yeah.
That's not the problem. Problem is the process in which this we don't have a system like the spoke of Kenya. Now Kenya, you have people that have been participating in the system 10 years before ran an you don't have that in Nigeria. That is the problem.
Well, if I will say something in the reaction, when we say that there should be independent candidates, we are not saying that INEC should now allow every Nigerian to just come and stand election. There must be some criteria put in place before you run.
Yeah.
For instance, in Kenya, you must have received the adequate number of nominations by registered voters before you qualify to stand in an election as an independent candidate. So, say for instance, now if you are going for House of Assembly,
do you know what number?
Hold on, sir. Sorry.
What is the number in Kenya, Kule? Sorry. Hold on, Pius.
By calculation, it is 45. Nigeria, to run for Senate, it is 40. I will tell you, I've run for office, so I'll tell you what the number is. So the number is quite low. It doesn't necessarily see. I can get 40 of my friends to sign that. This thing as long as we have.
So you are saying even that process is not even ideal.
It doesn't verify. It doesn't show intentionality to run for office.
Okay, Pius, go on.
We must not restrict it to the to 40 persons. For instance. If the idea is it's just like when you want to recall a member of the National Assembly. There is a minimum number of registered voters who must have signed before INEC can agree to conduct a referendum whether that person will be recalled back to his constituency. And you see that because of the high number put in place, there hasn't been even one case of a member being successfully recalled. And so now it shows you that has to do with number. So if we want to have an independent candidate and we don't want to have people that, will not be serious in the race, then we can stipulate a number and say that, look, for you to run as an independent candidate, you require the nomination of so number of people cutting across your constituency, the local government in your constituency, or the polling unit in your constituency.
Before we go too far, I'd like to speak about this.
Okay.
Now, the present number in Nigeria in political parties for Senate, I don't know, as of 2019 it was 40. I think if it is altered right now, it will be 50 or 60 signatures.
Okay.
You cannot ask, and now there's going to be an argument. You cannot ask independent candidates to bring 1,000 and then people in parties to bring 40. It does not work. It has to be equal. That's why democracy has to be fair. So you get back to the point that the process is the problem. So at this point, you still have 50 or 60 from, let's say, Senate in Nigeria.
Okay, Kunle, you have been...
to bring out more than that. It doesn't make sense.
Okay, Kunle, I actually like where you're... Yeah, I actually like where you're coming from about the process, because a lot of us do believe that, everything, the process before the result. So from your own perspective, where do we start this process from? Especially the one for this independent candidacy. If it's ever going to be a thing, where do we start from?
I think what we need to first start from is if candidates do not make it in their primaries, they should first be given a position, be allowed to run as independent candidates for those same offices they bid for. That's a starting point before you now graduate to opening the door to everybody.
Yeah. All right.
And from there, you can now build on what exists. People now eventually, maybe down the line, after trying this for the first 4 years, you can now allow people eventually.
Yeah.
Because I know what will happen if we open the doors. I remember 2019 elections, the elections I participated in.
Yeah.
The doors were open to everybody trying to set up a political party. We had 92 political parties, 89 presented presidential candidates.
Wow.
Did you look at, if you voted in 2019, please ask, do you remember how the ballot paper looked? It was scary. And that's if you put in independent candidates, we're talking of at Senate election, you can have 200 people alone running for office. And that is not democracy again. That is now, you've turned it to a musical chair. You played that when you were a kid.
All right, Kunle, thank you so much. So that's the voice of Kunle Lawal, Executive Director, Electoral College of Nigeria. And you're listening to Citizen FM 93.7. This is Battle of the Opinions, a show where we discuss conflicting opinions from different perspectives. And today we are talking, can an independent candidate win an election in Nigeria? Pius, I have a question for you. Are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, according to Honorable Monguno, who actually sponsored the bill that passed through the National Assembly for independent candidacy, according to him, he says the perception right now in the political arena is that political parties are often hijacked by a powerful few, and they decide who becomes the candidate for the party in any given election. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, that's the position, because if you look at the structure of our political parties as it is, you have to just belong to a particular clique, or you have to be sponsored by, the owners of those political parties before you can emerge. There is no fair play. There is no internal democracy in our political parties. And so those you see emerging are not the best of those political parties. And that is why you see a whole lot of cross-carpeting during elections, because people always feel aggrieved that I am better than that person. I may even be more popular, than the person who the party have, skilled and ensured his emergence as the candidate of the party. And so that is why you see many people, cross-carpeting and trying to look for other alternatives that they can actually run in the election. And so narrowing it to political parties, Munguno have actually captured the current state of our. Examine critically how the primary elections are being conducted in various political parties. They don't meet the minimum standards of a democratic election at all. There are few cases, very, very few cases, where you will see that the political parties, maybe because if for instance, presidential conventions that are being monitored by media organizations, as it's been done in Abuja, maybe it is only in those few cases that you may see a semblance of a democratic primary election. Otherwise, when you step down to the state level and the local government level or constituency level, what you have is not internal democracy at all. Persons will just sit down. In fact, we have had cases, where the election committees don't even get to the states where they're supposed to conduct the elections at all. They will just sit down somewhere and write the name of the persons they want, and forward it as candidate of the political parties. And it's unfortunate that even the INEC also joins them, in giving recognition to some of those practices. And we've seen several decisions of the court that have come out, even including Supreme Court, saying that no, those are not primary elections at all.
Yeah.
So when you are confronted with a situation like this, then it becomes imperative for people to begin to question: should we only limit ourselves to these political parties who has proven over the years that they cannot guarantee internal democracy in the political party?
All right, Pius Damba, Pius.
Sorry, but I strongly have to differ here.
Yes, I wanted to bring you in.
I was National Public Secretary of a political party.
Yeah.
I've conducted more than 7 primaries at gubernatorial level and other primaries at other levels between 2016 and 2018. Also, I have run for office. The truth is, I would not say there are no bad news within primaries.
Okay, because I thought you mentioned something like that earlier about the primaries, some little issues.
But we cannot sell the culture that is the norm everywhere, as if it doesn't go. You see, my problem with Nigeria when we make comments is that we speak from an emotional perspective. Most of us do not have an exact experience within that particular system.
Sorry, hold on. I just want to clarify something. Like when people speak, there are things in which the majority fall under and is automatically generalized. So from experience, are you saying that what Pius is saying is not the majority, but you're sure that it's the minority?
For him, the Supreme Court. I'm not talking based on assumption. I'm telling you what the Supreme Court of Nigeria have decided.
Oga, do you know how many primaries are conducted in one election in Nigeria? The one election cycle. Are you aware of how many primaries? So you have 200 and something cases in the Supreme Court. Even though you have 200 and something cases in the Supreme Court, I can tell you that number one, for there are 18 political parties, multiply that by 360 seats in in House of Rep. That's just House of Rep primaries conducted alone. Should I multiply by 109 times 18 again? That's Senate primaries conducted. That's 6 times 18 is the number of gubernatorial primaries conducted. Then you have 200 cases in the Supreme Court. No, I don't think it's the majority. I can state that.
The question is not about the number of primaries conducted. No, because as far as hold on, sir.
Yeah.
If you look at the ones that have been audited judicially, okay, the ones that have been audited judicially, those are the ones we are talking about. Of course, if the party conduct primary election and then maybe the persons that were cheated out of the system cannot afford the cost of litigation. Election litigation is very, very expensive. That is what I do. I can tell you that. It's very, very expensive. It's not anyone that can afford it.
Pius, can we listen to Kunle's question for you?
Primaries, or have you run for office in Nigeria? I know why.
I don't need to do that to know facts of
you cannot make such blanket statements. You cannot.
Okay.
The electoral college, we oversee a lot of primaries. I'm not saying there's no problem. What I'm saying is not.
As any of your primaries being judicially audited by way of litigation in court to Supreme Court?
Sir, I don't need to court. I've even conducted the only ratified election.
That is what we're saying. That is what we're saying. If your own has not been tested, we cannot say.
Okay. Okay, guys, we only have 2 minutes. We only have 2 minutes to wrap up now, and I would like to take your concluding statement. Let me start with you, Pius Damba Pius, lawyer and election strategist. What are your parting words for us today as to whether an independent candidate can win an election? What are your final words?
Well, my final words is that looking at the future, the best way for Nigeria to go is to expand the mode of participating in election, and that is gearing towards allowing independent candidates to participate in our election.
Okay.
Let's not narrow the space of political participation.
All right, great. Now on to you, Kunle. Just 1 minute left.
Okay. In my experience, I agree that democracy should be open to all Nigerians. I also do not agree it should be a floodgate. There should be checks and balances to ensure that the right kind of candidates can emerge, the right kind of people with the right kind of ideas can come out. I feel that's when we need to get there. I also think Nigerians need to be more politically literate and diverse.
Yes. I think that's a very key takeaway from
which we usually portray.
Okay, I think that one of the key takeaways from what you've said, Kunle, is that Nigerians need to be more politically literate for us to even understand a lot of processes and how to challenge them and how to, work in its favor. Well, just to conclude, some people believe allowing independent candidates to stand for elections will ensure the emergence of popular choice made by people without the imposition by political party structures, while others doubt the capacity of the nation's political system to accommodate everyone that may wish to run for office. The independent candidacy bill hasn't been signed into law yet. There's a bill in works for an act to alter the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to allow for independent candidacy to any elective office in Nigeria. The National Assembly passed the bill. The bill now needs to be voted for by 2/3 of State House members to make it eligible to be signed into law. And that's a wrap on the show Battle of Opinions on Citizen FM 93.7. A very, very big thank you to my guests, Pius Damba Pius, lawyer and election strategist, as well as Kunle Lawal, Executive Director of the Electoral College of Nigeria. Thank you so much, guys, for being on the show with me. I really, really appreciate it. I hope to have you guys back another time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, then. Have a good day. Goodbye.